All right. Good day, good evening, wherever you are. I will be discussing the answers to three questions in this video. The first one being, why is the nervous system associated with the sense of self? Interesting topic. So, we're studying the nervous system in page 509. And so far, we've learned in our MAVM course that the main organ systems are the physical manifestations of the Mahabhutas, or the five natural elements of the universe. Starting with the musculoskeletal system, which represents earth, we went on to the cardiovascular system, represented by water, the gastrointestinal system, represented by fire, the respiratory system, represented by air, and the articular system, which represents space. From there, we learn of the endocrine and reproductive systems, okay, represented by manas, or the mind, and intellect, or buddhi, which represented the discriminating factor that allows us to discern between self and non-self, right? So now here we are studying the nervous system, which represents ego, or ahamkar, and self-awareness. So the nervous system is the main control system, an integrator of all of the former systems we've studied, and it sustains homeostasis. So MAVM has promoted balance throughout our studies, and this is the function of the nervous system to maintain that balance. A healthy and balanced nervous system, functioning optimally, therefore, will perceive changes in the environment and respond appropriately for our greatest good. So, therefore, everything from our senses, thoughts, speech, and actions all depend on how the nervous system functions. In AyurVeda and Vedic science, we can see how our level of consciousness will affect our nervous system and how it functions. So, therefore, the connection between our heightened or lowered states of consciousness and our nervous system will also affect our sense of self. For example, when we are at ease and relaxed, our nervous system will activate the rest and digest responses within the parasympathetic nervous system, and our sense of self will enjoy the peace and calm that comes from this experience. On the contrary, when in an overly emotional state, or overly worried, or in anguish, our sympathetic nervous system will respond in the fight or flight or fawn or freeze states that creates a sense of self that feels out of control, imbalanced, and physiologically strained and weakened. It is best then to continue to practice TM, have good dinacharyas, or good daily activities, manage a healthy diet according to dosha, and live a life of gratitude, so our nervous system will be settled and our sense of self will follow suit. In Vedic science, each state of consciousness aligns with a specific way the nervous system operates. Excuse me. So the connection means our nervous system's functioning directly shapes our conscious experience. Sorry. This connection means our nervous system's functioning directly shapes our conscious experience. It embodies ahamkar, our sense of self within the body. The brain, as the central organ, plays a key role in our conscious experience of self and the world around us. Okay. The next question is, please describe the main divisions of the brain and their functions. So, according to Dr. Pence's lovely lecture on Saturday, we learned that the brain has the main parts of the cerebrum, the telecephalon, the cerebellum, metacephalon, the brain stem, meds, and myoencephalon, and the thalamus and the hypothalamus, the diencephalon. There are 4 lobes in the cerebrum, which is the largest part of the brain and which handles conscious thought and actions. And it's on the left and the right side, the following 4. We have the frontal lobe. It handles executive functioning, personality, and behavior control. This is the part of the brain most often talked about in cases of ADHD and autism. It also handles speech and muscle movements. The parietal lobe, of the cerebrum helps us understand the world around us and our relationship to it, and allows us to process our sense of touch, temperature, distance, and pain signals. It also plays a role in processing sound, language, speech, and the ability to write, count, and organize information. Then we have the temporal lobe, which helps us connect emotions with memories and allows us to recognize language, people, and objects. And we have the occipital lobe, which handles our visual processing, from seeing movement and colors to recognizing depth perception and making memories. Okay, so the cerebellum is located under the cerebrum, which I just talked about, and is located in the back of the head. It helps us coordinate voluntary movement, balance, posture, and muscle tone. It also receives information from our senses, spinal cord, and other parts of the brain, making it an important part of the brain that integrates information and turns it into the fine-tuned motor activity. It also helps us with attention, language, and spatial perception, similar to the description of the occipital lobe, which goes to show that the different parts of the brain communicate with each other to assist in carrying out our various needs throughout the day. Okay, then we have the brain stem located at the the bottom of our brain structure. It's the bridge between the brain and the spinal cord, we could say. It governs vital functions, relays sensory and motor impulses, and sends signals from the brain to the rest of the body. It is important in controlling subconscious bodily functions like breathing and maintaining our heart rate. The top of the brainstem consists of the midbrain, which regulates eye movement. The middle brainstem is called the pons, which coordinates facial movements, hearing, and balance. And the bottom of the brainstem is called medulla oblongata, which regulates breathing, heart rhythms, and blood pressure, pressure and swallowing, a few of which I just mentioned. Finally, the brainstem contains an important system called the RAS, or the reticular activating system, which is a network of neurons carrying electrical signals and chemicals throughout the body. It controls sleep and wake cycles and helps us stay alert to our surroundings. Imagine then that TM, which helps us to be restfully alert, would affect the reticular activating system in a very beneficial way that assists us in maintaining calm and peace by sending those calming and peaceful electrical signals throughout our body and placing our physical self in a world where we can affect those around us in hopefully a peaceful and positive way. Finally, the thalamus acts as a gatekeeper for messages between the spinal cord and the cerebral hemispheres, while the hypothalamus controls emotions, body temperature, and urges such as eating and sleeping. Okay, last question here. Describe the inner and outer reality of cosmic consciousness and its unique brainwaves. So Maharishi, Maharishi Ayurveda describes 7 states of consciousness, starting with deep sleep with no sensory perception, where we are experiencing a delta brainwave. This is called Sushupti Chaitana, where if we consider the light of a lamp, the lamp at the door of our consciousness is not lit and there is no perception. Next, we have the dreaming state of consciousness in the beta brainwave, where, again, considering the metaphor of the lamp at the door is not lit and one is absorbed in an imaginary reality. Then we have the waking state of Jagrat Chaitana, which is in gamma and beta brainwaves. It's very outward focused, and we would only consider that the lamp at the door is lit outside to see what is outside of us, but not internal. Transcendental consciousness, or Turiya Chaitana, shows great EEG coherence, or left-right brain coherence, and this state would empower and enlighten inner awareness, but without the external focus. Therefore, you could consider that the lamp at the door would cast the light inside, but not outside. Beyond this, we have cosmic consciousness, which would perfectly light both the inner and outer lamps. Nyaya. Sorry if I said that wrong. God consciousness would allow us to see reality as divine and in its most refined form. And finally, the highest of all consciousness, which we all strive to attain, would be unity consciousness, where the individual is absorbed into the collective and infinity permeates everything. This state enlivens the total functioning of the human brain. Okay, please excuse any mistakes I may have made, which are all of my own, and everything else has been inspired by and comes from our Madden courses. Thank you.